Hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday afternoon, which means it is time for our weekly strategy fantasy baseball show. I am your host, Casey Scheinbold, here at MFSN The Hub, and I'm joined by always the ever-present and ever-helpful Ross the Boss. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, everybody. I'm live from La La City in Los Angeles, California. I'm here with Latch the Bone, Casey Scheinfeld. We have a lot of baseball to talk about. A lot of stuff happened in the past 48 hours, right, Casey? Tell us what's going on.
Well, obviously the biggest story this week, I think, in baseball is the number one prospect in baseball, Cincinnati Reds shortstop of the future, who is, I guess the future is now, like our cover said. Ellie De La Cruz got the call last night. He hit a home run almost 460 feet.
I actually watched that game live on television, and this guy's hitting triples. He's hitting home runs. He stole a base today. The Reds lost 6-0, but Kershaw pitched unbelievable game. But this guy, 6'5", 200 pounds, throws the ball 99 miles an hour to the first baseman. These prospects come up and we all do a song and dance about these guys, Casey, but I really think this guy's for real.
Yeah, he certainly seems like it. Apparently there was a game today. They were playing the Dodgers today, and Jamal, thanks for joining us, pointed out that he struck out 3 times today, but he still got a single off of Clayton and stole a base. So
he will strike out. He's still learning. He struck out 5 times last week in Louisville. So the strikeout is his enemy, but he will learn and he will get better and not strike out in the next couple months.
Yeah. No, he's they say he's a lot like O'Neal Cruz, but he has a more discerning batter's eye. He doesn't chase as many pitches. So if that's true, if he can command the strike zone, man, that kid's talent is unbelievable.
Did you see the kid who caught the home run ball? This kid.
No, I didn't.
He's a high school kid, Moeller High linebacker. Moeller High is like one of the best football schools in Cincinnati in high school. That's where Ken Griffey Jr. went. A lot of big athletes went there. But this kid caught the ball. And he was with all his buddies. It was like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll give the ball back, but I want to meet him and I want him to sign a bat for me." So after the game, they all took a group pic, and he got a bat, and I think all his buddies got signed balls. It was kind of a cool story, and he was so happy to get the bat and ball. It was just nice to see a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, they get excited about that stuff, and that's really fun to watch. The other big story, at least it's big on the East Coast right now, is the Wildfires in Quebec canceled a bunch of games last night.
Did you see the photos of that, Casey? Did you see like what it looked like in New York and parts of
the sun was blacked out here. So
they even canceled the WNBA game in New York also, and that wasn't even played out. That was an indoor game because the air was so bad in New York City. Which I don't know why. New York has horrible health conditions anyway. It's not like the New Yorkers can tell the difference. What's the big deal? Let's play the game. But yeah, I saw they're playing a doubleheader today. That fat man Lynn's pitching for the White Sox, who's just horrible this year against Savarino, your guy that just got off the DL, who I think is pretty good.
Yeah,
but the Yanks are playing a doubleheader. I think the game started, so
yeah, it's already in the second inning, I think. Yeah. But Quebec, all the Wildfires are there, and all of where I live, almost 700 miles away, all sporting events are canceled. All outdoor activities are canceled because you can smell the smoke. Like I walk outside,
can you see like a brown haze?
Yeah, if the sun is cloudy when you look at it, even if it's crystal clear out.
So Aaron Judge. They already said this, so it doesn't sound like it's a good sign, Casey. He was put on the 10D DL yesterday. They said yesterday that he's not going to participate in the All-Star game because of his toe that he hurt at Dodger Stadium at a metal fence that should have been like they should have made improvements at that stadium.
You would have hoped it was padded somewhere.
Well, it's like a joke padded though. It's not like real padded. It's it's just a fake padded. It's not. It's horrible. They should spend a few bucks and fix the fences, especially a metal gate. The players can get hurt on, which somebody did. So I don't think Judge is going to be back until after All-Star break. I think this
Yeah, this will be
injury.
a big test for the Yankees to see how
Yeah, I
much
think it's
they
going to
can.
loom him for a while. And it doesn't look that great that he'll be back in 10 days. I would say July 20th earliest he'll be back. So if you don't have Aaron Judge and you want Aaron Judge on your team, right now is a great time to make offers for him,
Yeah,
because the owners are like, you know what, he's on my DL. I don't think much of him. So right now is a good time to go after him if you're in the Aaron Judge market and you want a good run for your playoffs in fantasy baseball.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's it is a good time to pick him up if you're in a keeper or dynasty league, or trade for him, I should say, not pick him up. Um, and maybe you have a frustrated owner who's in contention and this is going to knock him back. And so you might be able to pry him away if you can stand not having him for a couple months. But we're getting to the point of, I mean, one of the big things we talked about on Tuesday was Alec Manoa, right? He's sent down to
you were right. He was sent down to the Florida. I did some research. Sent down to the Florida rehab center where pitchers go to learn how to pitch. It's kind of like a rehab center, not for drugs or anything, but it's a rehab center for pitchers to learn how to pitch again, basically. And it's located in Florida, and that's what he's down to. He's not in AAA. He's not playing. I think where's Toronto's AAA? I think it's Syracuse, right? Am I correct?
Buffalo.
I
believe it's Buffalo.
Buffalo Bisons. But it's like I talked about it on Tuesday, and I just think he's overweight, and I think the pitch clock really affected him a lot, and I think that's the major problem is him worrying about that pitch count. I really do. I think that's the clock. I really think that's the problem with Alec Manoa. And I have him in a couple leagues. I dropped him in my redraft leagues already, and I'm just waiting for an offer from you to trade him to your team. So I've been not dropping him. I'm just waiting by the phone or by the computer to see when you're going to make me an offer.
It's funny. I'm so into dynasty football right now that I'm trying to balance the time between the two. But
let me see a question. I know you hate changing subjects from baseball to football, but this is a fantasy football question.
Okay.
So we joined this league recently. We had a draft, and people are already making trades and talking smack. I mean, football season's not till September. I mean, why?
Yeah.
All of a sudden are people making all these crazy trades and making all this havoc in this fantasy football league where we just drafted the team that we wanted? I mean, what's going on?
Well, from what I could tell, Dr. Dan is the host of this league for you guys out there watching. Dr. Dan will be joining us next week. This week, he's busy saving the world from chronic pain. But I think a lot of those members are just buddies of his for decades. And so I think they all know each other. And so they are able to go back and forth. You, me, there's a couple other, I know Ben, although Ben talks a lot of smack just because that's who he is, but it's all in good fun. So I have a lot of fun with it.
No, I get it. So Jamal has a question.
Jamal has another question. What are your thoughts on Jose Barrios the rest of the season? Obviously, this is a guy who with the Twins was a stud. Toronto acquired him at the trade deadline a couple years back, hoping that they were getting a young burgeoning ace that they could build around. 2022 was a nightmare for him. His ERA was atrocious. This year, he started off a little rough, but I think his ERA now is in the 3.5 range, and he's pitching really well. Do you think he figured it out? Do you think his mechanics?
So last year was a disaster. I mean, I don't remember him last year. I think I had him. I dropped him. But I mean, last year, I just thought his arm, I thought he was done. This year, especially the past 4 weeks, he's been showing a lot of improvement. And you know what? He's not a bad guy to have on your team. He's not an ace, but he's somebody that's going to burn a lot of innings, and he's actually getting strikeouts right now too. So yeah, I'm on the Burrow. I'm on his bandwagon. I mean, if he's available in your league and you need a starter, I think you can't go wrong with this guy right now.
Yeah, I think we have to manage our expectations with him. 2 years ago, people were thinking he has the potential to be a top 10 or 15 pitcher. I think we got to look at him as a number 2, number 3 pitcher on a team, and a really good one who can flash dominance at times. So I think rest of the season, he's a good player to have. Toronto's going to start playing better baseball. They've started to a little bit now. And, they got a good defense behind him. They got a good offense who can get him some wins. So I certainly believe for the rest of the season, he's somebody I would want on my roster, not as the ace, but if he's the three pitcher, my third pitcher, I would love it.
He's an innings burner, like you said, and he's striking out people. So yes, on Jose, there's a lot of really bad pitchers. There's a great pitcher matchup today. Verlander's going to get today against Strider, which is a great pitching matchup. It's like the young stud against the old vet. It's a great matchup. The Mets can't hit. The Mets hitting is just horrible.
What's the over under on the betting line for Strider?
I think I looked that up. Actually,
like 9.
It's 7.
Is it 7? I take the over.
It's 7 and maybe 7.5. But I mean, it's Strider is it's a good matchup for him. I think Verlander. I think it's going to be a good game. It should be close.
I think it's going to be close. I don't give the Mets much of a chance, but that's just
no. I don't think this can't hit, and they get swept by
All right.
bad teams. Horrible.
We have a question from Christopher Atwater. Hey, Graphico, how are you? Bailey. Speaking of somebody in that Dynasty Football League where there's all the trades and trash talking, Chris Atwater is one of the members of that league, one of the best guys you'll know. So
best guy, he's SEC, big, huge fan. He loves Alabama.
He drafted. It was a shock when he drafted somebody who wasn't SEC. I think he waited like 7 or 8 rounds to do it. So his question is, Bailey Ober a good long-term solution this year? I know he's 70% roster, but I just want your opinion. Bailey Ober is for the Twins, I believe, right? And he was
he's a starting pitcher for the Twins. He started out hot. I mean, this guy came out of the gates and he was pitching great.
And he still has a .97 ERA. So let's.
I mean, he started out great.
97 WHIP. Sorry.
Yeah, he started out really good, and then he had some shaky starts. But he's one of these. The Twins starters are. If I had to pick a staff in the American League, I mean, the Twins are number 1 in my book. I mean, they got some really good pitchers going, and
Houston.
Their hitting's horrible, but
they have a lot of pull heavy strikeout guys. That's never a solution for long term.
No, success. And Buxton, your guy Buxton's on the DL right now too, so that's not helping their team either.
My whole team's on the DL. It doesn't matter.
And your guy Royce Lewis, I mean, hitting 200. So I don't want to hear he's like the next big thing. He's not.
Well, how often, Ross, you of all people, what do you say from day one when we start doing preseason and talking about?
Okay, you got me there.
You say rookie hitters are going to struggle. Don't expect
they are going to struggle.
Year one. And
there's only 5 exceptions, I think, in the past 20 years. I think
Bailey Ober is a long-term solution at this point. And he certainly isn't so expensive that it's not a wise pickup. Again, we're talking about guys who are middle of the rotation sort of guys. But if he's keeping the ball in the yard, he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but he's a weak contact guy. That's
and look, that staff with Lopez. I mean, they got a lot of really strong pitching going on in Minnesota right now. I mean, he's part of it.
Yeah,
Boland. I mean, they have some really young studs coming through that Minnesota Twin organization.
So speaking of young studs, now that let's switch teams here. Cincinnati, McLean came up. They brought up Abbott. They brought up Ellie De La Cruz.
And they brought up Guerrero, too. I watched him play today. He was the number 1 prospect for the Reds 2 years ago. And now he was an infielder, then moved him to the outfield, and they brought him up, and he's going to do some damage, too.
And so I guess my question is, where's Christian Encarnacion Strand? And you're the Reds guy. When is he coming up? This guy has been awesome.
He will be coming up maybe next month. They can't bring everybody up at the same time. You just got to bring them up gradually. He's getting his at bats right now at Louisville. He's playing every day, and he'll be up there. They brought up Guerrero, and this guy again, he was like the number 1 prospect for the Reds 2 years ago, and they finally brought him up. So sometimes it takes a little time, but Strand, he'll be up there. Don't worry. Especially, You'll see some trades in July, like Fraley. You'll see a lot of the veterans for the Reds. They'll want to cut salary again, so you'll see all these young guys playing. Don't worry, Casey. They'll be up.
Yeah.
You'll be anybody that wants any of these old veterans from the Reds. I don't really have anybody that old, but I mean any Red that's available, they'll be gone. Don't worry. But
so what should fantasy baseball players be considering at this point of the season? We're about a month before the All-Star break. We've gotten a good 2.5 months of baseball, over 2 months of baseball in. What at this point of the season, what are the important things for fantasy baseball players to remember and look at?
If you're doing well in your league, if you're in a, let's say, 12-man league and the top 6 teams make the playoffs and you're one of those top 6, let's say you're playoff bound, let's just say it. I mean, you should be looking at players that are not hitting well, that are not doing what they should be doing, and trying to trade for them. I recently, last week, traded for Soto.
Right.
And I traded away Alvarez, the reliever for the Angels. I traded him away, and I traded away, I think, Babbitt too, for Soto. I'm just giving you an example. And it's like, those are the players you want on your team. You want guys that are not producing as they should, but second half of the season, they're going to start hitting. Right. And they're going to start producing. And guys that are overproducing, let's say Garcia for the Rangers, who leads the league in RBIs with 52. I mean, he's overproducing. I feel I have him on my team. I would love to trade him for somebody that needs RBIs, because I don't think he's going to keep doing what he's doing. I think he's going to, he's going to have a little flattening period going on.
Some regression there.
Yeah. So you want to trade some of the guys that are really hot, and you want to trade for the guys that are not so hot, that that are going to be hot. So it's a scary thing to do. I mean, people are afraid to get afraid to get rid of their superstars, get rid of the players that are really hitting the ball really well. But nothing lasts forever, Casey, as we can all testify to that. So yes, that's what you should be doing. That's what you should be concentrating on. De La Cruz right now is not a good time to trade for him. Like, that's a good example.
His value is too high.
He's the biggest name in baseball right now. ESPN's first stories talks about it. I mean, everybody, he's on the news, lead story in all the sports shows.
Now, Chris Atwater asked, does Charlie Blackmon pickup make sense at this point? I don't think so, Chris. I mean, the guy, don't get me wrong, he's not going to hurt your team necessarily, but he's not the Charlie Blackmon of 2017 who's going to hit 30 bombs, bat 300, steal a bunch of bags. He is a 275 hitter with some pop and no speed left. 100%. And he's an injury waiting to happen.
I agree. I mean, I think he's a guy that could even be benched for the youth movement in Colorado also.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like Charlie Blackmon. I think I've enjoyed watching him play. The hair is legendary, and he was a warrior for a long time, but I don't think he helps you in any single category at this point. And there's very little upside. And if you're looking for a pickup at this point, unless it's to replace a very specific stat that you need, I can't imagine it's a 270 batting average with mild pop and mild other peripherals. So I would look for somebody else.
I'd rather have Jones from Colorado. I picked up him. I'd rather have Jones, who's like 90% available in leagues, than Blackmon. I mean, I feel he has a lot more ceiling. His ceiling's a lot higher than Blackmon. I mean, that's just one example. But I'd rather get one of these young studs that's getting playing time right now, instead of Blackman's only going to help you in like maybe 1 or 2 categories. He's not he's not the 5 category guy anymore like he used to be. Not even close. His power is diminished. His RBIs are diminished. His stolen bases are diminished. And so we're down to batting average and running. I mean, that's what we're down to, Christopher. So that's it. So no on Blackmon.
I agree.
Casey agrees.
I do.
Flat to the bone agrees. And they announced today, because it's SEC news, and because we have Atwater here, that Bryce Young is the starting quarterback in Carolina, which I love Carolina announcing that now instead of like waiting on that. They just announced it and said, he's our starter. There you go. SEC forever.
I do like that. I'm a fan of that call too.
I
Get
do
it out
too.
there early so it eliminates all the
Oh,
reporter questions and all the
it's
speculation
so
about Andy
good.
Dalton. And
I
so,
agree with you, and I know we're talking football, but I'm excited about football right now. I don't know why,
yeah, well, the
but
OTAs are going on, so everybody's talking about it.
I know, and I just love hearing all the news about Minnesota running all this stuff that's going on. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
So baseball. Well, let's one of the things you want to start looking at when it comes to this point in fantasy baseball season is what's going on in real baseball and what players you have that could be moved as we approach the deadline and what changing values could be. Obviously, if you have some of these closers or relief pitchers who are in line or are the closer, is their team going to sell and make a change in their bullpen depth and in their bullpen rotation? Finding those guys early, like who is David? If we think David Bednar, that's always the one every year. Pittsburgh, are they going to trade a closer at the deadline? Although they're in
No,
first place right now, so I don't think they will.
oh,
But
Pittsburgh's in first place. Why would they? They're not going to trade
so
anybody
if
from
you're a
that team.
team like who,
Let's give an example. Let's say Estevez for the Angels, who has like 14 saves or 15 saves, and is just throwing heat. I mean, he's unhittable
yeah,
right now. I mean, the Angels are a couple games over 500. Playoffs don't look bright in their future.
yeah,
I mean, will they? I mean, the question is, maybe he might go. I mean, that's a great question. If the Angels get the right offer, I mean, somebody who I think is going to be traded off the Angels is going to be like major news for like a week is Ohtani. I think Otani's not going to be Angel after the All-Star break. I just feel it, Casey. He'll either be a Yankee or New York Met. I don't know
well, didn't
why.
he say? I thought I read a quote somewhere that he said he doesn't want to go to the East Coast, that he'll only play for Seattle, one of the California teams.
Okay, but then again, I mean, who doesn't want to play in New York? I mean, seriously, he doesn't want to play for the New York Yankees. You're telling me that right now.
That's what I've heard. I
Yeah,
don't know if
this
so,
is all
but let me
speculation.
ask you a speculation question then. San Diego Padres, maybe one of the biggest disappointments so far
Oh my
this year.
God, are they in last place? I
If
mean,
not, I think Colorado might be
oh,
worse.
Colorado's in last place. Okay,
But so if they are far out of it come July, Josh Hader, does he get traded?
I don't know his contract. If his contract's over in October, yes. If his contract is more than 1 or 2 years, no.
You don't think so? Okay.
The guy who runs the Padres, I feel, is like running a fantasy baseball team. I don't think they care about money. I really don't. I really don't think contracts mean anything to this guy. They have like $600 million in contracts. I read. I mean, it's like an insane amount, Casey. And the guy who runs it's like this young guy, and he looks like a surfer, and I forgot his name, but the way the Padres run the organization is they just want the best player possible at that position. They don't care about anything else. Tatis, Soto. I mean, all these guys. I mean, it's just a hogwash of talent they have there, and it shows you that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you can't have any synergy in a baseball team, you're not going to win. So, good example.
I guess the reason I bring it up is if you do consider, like, try to target these guys. If you think Josh Hader might be moved because they can get really good value from a contender who doesn't have a reliable closer, maybe you pick up a Nick Martinez or I don't know, Steve Wilson, Tom Cosgrove, whoever you think would be the closer, the de facto closer for that team if their closer is dealt.
It's a good move. And another team that I think is going to be buying, not selling, but buying in the next couple of weeks is the Arizona Diamondbacks. I feel they're going to get a closer. Maybe Hader, you never know. But they'll be getting a big-time closer there, and you'll be seeing another big-time starter in Arizona for them, because I really feel they think they have a great shot at winning the West, which they do. I mean, they're playing great baseball, and talking about Rookie of the Year, that Carroll's just give him the trophy now. Send the trophy to Arizona right now and put his name on it, Casey Scheinfeld, right now.
Interesting because I know they wouldn't make a trade within the division, but two teams who are in contention for the playoffs but need a closer are the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, right? Neither of them have a lockdown closer. Imagine what they would be willing to pay for somebody like Josh Hader to be at the back of that bullpen.
I agree. Or even the Angels closer, Estevez is great. I mean,
Well, Estevez they might be able to get. I just don't think the Padres would give.
You're not up at the time when you're not up during the Angel games because you have East Coast time. But I mean, this guy, I watched him pitch a couple nights ago when he closed out a game, and this guy's lights out. I mean, this guy's a big dude too. And I think last year he pitched at Seattle. I want to say, is that where he was at? Or
I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter, but he throws really hard, and the Angels have a good one there. I don't know if the Angels will trade him.
I don't know. I mean, look, if they're losing Ohtani, they might as well gut and start over, right? Like, if they're not going to keep Ohtani, I feel bad for Mike Trout. He might be the kind of the Dan Marino of our time.
Okay. Well, we all feel bad for Mike Trout, but he has a couple $100 million in the bank, so I don't feel that bad for Mike Trout.
No, I understand. You know what I'm saying. I mean, Dan Marino made plenty of money in the NFL during his day.
Well, back in the day, they didn't make the money they're making now, but he did well with endorsements and working on networks and stuff. He did very well, and he's had a nice career after football, so he did very well. But Mike Trout, I'm not going to shed a tear for Mike Trout because he has a great family. He lives in a great area, and he's like one of the nicest guys in baseball. So there you go.
That's what I hear. Yeah, and he wants to be a weatherman. Maybe we should bring him on here and ask him about this Wildfires, and because he's a Jersey guy, it's killing New Jersey right now. I bet he has.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We should contact the Angels. I will after I'm done and see if he'll come on and talk about the weather. And
that would be fun.
Back then, and a friend of mine actually knows somebody that knows his wife or a teacher or something. This guy, I don't know, I can't discuss it, but it's a long shot, but we'll try to get to him. But I mean, again, with baseball and what's going on, I mean, it's very exciting, and I mean, I love when the Oakland A's win. I love when the Oakland A's when they took 2 or 3 from the Braves early in the month. I love that. Yeah. And then when they beat the Pirates, I think 2 out of 3 also. I mean, I'm kind of rooting for the A's now because they're so bad and no one respects them. And
they're the bad news bears.
And it's just fun when they win. I feel like there's hope in life when the Oakland A's wins a game.
Is it me, or are there more injuries this year than there have in years past? I haven't looked at the actual statistics, but I don't know if it's the World Baseball Classic and people playing competitive games before they've had their normal 2 months of ramp up. But if you look at it, there's an inordinate amount of big names to me that are injured.
Yeah, I mean, every day when I check, we all go on and check our fantasy team almost every morning, and all of a sudden you see an IL pop up next to their name, or D&D, or or day to day, whatever it is, and it's like, I agree with you. I mean, it's a lot of injuries and a lot of stuff's going on with these players this year, especially. I feel it.
So when you have, like, on my team right now, let's look at my one keeper league. I have Buxton, Alec Boehm, Julio Urias, Jose Alvarado, all these guys who are on the IL. I have Nick Senzel, although him I'm just going to drop now that he's IL. How do you hold them? How do you manage if it becomes like we have?
So if it just depends on the league, Casey. If it's a keeper league or a dynasty league, of course you hold on to, like, DeGrom. You got to hold on to. I'll give you an example because I just watched his interview when he cried about his injury. It was heartbreaking. But if it's a redraft league and it's let's say you have somebody like an Alvarado or something, I would waive him. Or
do you think?
I mean, Buxton, I would waive right now if it was a redraft league. I feel he's been a big bust this year.
Do you think Kimbrel's going to keep the closer's job even when
he got his first save? Hendricks, Liam Hendricks got his first save this week.
Yeah, against the Yankees. Thanks for
which I'm happy. I'm rooting for him. I don't know. I don't think he'll keep his closing job. Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, it's a revolving door. Whoever's the hot pitcher would keep the job, and whoever's not pitching well will lose the job. So there's no one has stability. There's, like I said, beginning of the season, there's only a few teams have a closer that's not going to lose their job. There's only a few of them, and it's a very short list.
Yeah.
The rest can lose their job any day. I mean, anytime.
So, what are your thoughts on Kodai Senga? This guy with the ghost pitch or whatever was supposed to be all the rage.
Yeah.
Came over. People picked him as a rookie of the year candidate, but all he's done is it feels like walk the world.
Yeah, he's giving up a lot of runs.
He has a 1.44 whip. Now he's striking out a fair amount, 12 or 13 per inning, but 12 or 13 per nine. But the whip and the ERA are not good.
No, not good at all. I don't have an explanation. I just feel that there's a big difference between Japanese baseball and American baseball. And there's only a few Japanese players that came over here that did really well. Ichiro, Otani, what's his name for the Yankees? That was the home hitter, Matsui. Going Matsui. I mean, so and there's also Nomo that was good. I mean, there's been a good amount.
Darvish was good.
Darvish was good. He's 36 years old. Career's almost over. But again,
Matsusaka had some good years.
I mean, this guy can figure it out. I mean, I saw that ghost pitch last year, and it was amazing. So
and again, I think he pitched in the World Baseball Classic.
I think he'll figure it out. I think he'll have a good season next season. I like the Japanese and Korean pitchers. I like Chan-Ho Park for the Dodgers. I used to love, but I mean sometimes it takes them a little while to get used to playing in like the ballparks in the United States. It really does. I don't have any, but again, there's some. Every year there's some great talent that comes out of Japan. Unbelievable. I mean, look at the guy that plays for the Red Sox, the center fielder. I mean, he's
Masaki Yoshida. Is that Yoshida?
Yeah, Yoshida. He's hitting great. I mean, he's hitting like close to 300. He's tearing it up. But again, those are the I do like drafting those Japanese ball players just because you don't know what you're going to get.
There's the mystery of it all is intriguing.
It is.
It's intriguing. So, all right.
Well, I'm off to
Atwater is, by the way, even though he's an SEC guy, I think he's a Red Sox fan. So when he says, Suzuki, which one's Suzuki?
Suzuki plays for the Cubs.
Okay. Kodai Suzuki, or what is his?
Yeah, he's having an okay year. I
thought he was talking about Yoshida. I apologize, Chris. I know you're a Red Sox fan, so I read that wrong.
Yeah, Cubs. He is a Red Sox fan. The Red Sox are
Suzuki.
Chris Sale's on the DL. Another example. Chris Sale's on the DL again. I mean, it's like,
oh, I know.
I mean, it's like it just never stops with these guys. They just always somebody gets hurt.
Chris Sale's been on the DL, and that's you say you got to hold Jacob deGrom. I don't know if I feel that way. The guy hasn't pitched more than like 20 innings in a season in 3 years. Coming off a second Tommy John in his mid to late.
If in a dynasty league and there's an IL spot, yes.
If it's a
keeper league, keep 6. No,
I don't think so. I think we might have seen he's going to be a ghost of himself going forward. I do. I don't see.
Yeah, but again, he's cashing in on major money next year. So I don't feel sorry for him.
No, I don't either.
I feel sorry for Chris Atwater. That's who I feel sorry for.
Yeah. Well, Chris Atwater's plugging Dr. Dan with his mind-body injury, mental health stuff, because he thinks Chris Sales needs Dr. Dan. It's all mental with him. And it might be, but he has the funkiest, herkiest, jerkiest delivery. The body doesn't look like it's naturally supposed to move those angles. So maybe he gets injured that ways too. But I'm sure Dan could help. So I will agree with you on that one, Chris.
Of course he would.
Well, Ross, I think we'll do a quick show today. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
For over a half hour. We'll see everybody Tuesday at 1:00 Pacific, 4:00 Eastern time. We'll talk about all the games that are happening over the weekend, which I'm excited. There's a lot of great stuff going on. Unbelievable. And again, keep on plugging away, and right now is a good time to start trading people. June's a month where I do some trades, so watch out.
Yeah, I would. And one person to target. although his numbers are terrible, so you can get him cheap. Kyle Schwarber, the guy hits between 10 and 15 home runs every June. So if you can get him now, ride him, get him to hit those 20 home runs for you, sell him before the All-Star break. It's like one of those penny
I like
stocks.
that. I like that pick, and he had a home run yesterday. That's a great one. And
He does it every June. So get him.
I'm gonna pick him up right. Who has him? Oh, I think Dan has him.
I don't know. Yeah, but he's sick of him and he's not watching right now. So you can maybe make that happen. All right, guys. Great show. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.